55 and jacked. So we got chat rooms already. I like to let the I like to let the ambiance set in before I come in. Daily Earl has been tremendous. I crave what he has to say. We can learn something from him. I try my best. The Daily Earl, maybe you just named it. Once the Earl is monetized, once I am monetized, I'm not going to ask anyone to super chat me. I'm leaving that up to you guys. That's all I'm saying. If you feel that what I provide is of value, I don't even like saying donate. Because donate, to me anyway, reeks of feeling sorry for the streamer. Donate because you think Earl's funny. He doesn't do the road a lot, but I would like to thank him for making me laugh or whatever. The Lake Berryessa slain. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. What do you know about the Zodiac Killer? I don't know a lot about that one, to be honest with you. Look at that shit. What up, Dr. Chow, the Mega G? I know the least about the Zodiac Killer because you got to understand. In 1984, I was taking a criminal law class at Notre Dame High, Sherman Oaks in the Valley. I might be one of the more famous alumni there. We don't have a lot of celebrities there. We had Tim Foley, the baseball player. If you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, you remember him. He was like the nerdy guy who wore the spectacles. We had Nigel Miguel, pretty famous basketball player, UCLA. Probably our most famous football player was Justin Fargas, played for the Raiders. And his dad was Antonio Fargas, Huggy Bear. I think Remy Malek, he's probably the most famous person who's gone to Notre Dame High. Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction. Yes, he was. I think Carlos Cavazo from Quiet Riot had a son or a nephew who went there, if that counts. Yes, Tim Foley was like the Chris Sabo of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yes, he was. Huggy Bear. And he was also in Ralph Macchio's first movie as the soccer coach in Up the Academy. Yeah, I mean, Super Chat is like a tip jar. Sorry, I'm my vision is so bad I might miss things. These glasses ain't for show. But what I don't like about it's not just the Dabbleverse, but it's really any podcast or stream out there right now is they say to their fans, give me money, give me money, give me money. And that just ain't my vibe. Do I love money? Who doesn't? Having money is, got me to the ability to spend $25 on Sting gloves. I have a friend of mine trying to get me on Gutfeld, but I don't like those panel shows. I would do it because I think he's pretty funny. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing one or two people there. Jack McDowell, if you follow mid '80s, early '90s baseball, I believe he won a Cy Young Award. I'm probably the most famous person in my class that there weren't. Fabian's daughter, Julie, went there. Like, if you've ever seen the movie Idolmaker with Ray Sharkey and Colt C, what's up? The movie The Idolmaker was based on Fabian's life. his daughter Julie, she was so hot. I love Jack McDowell. I took 8th grade basketball class with him. Notre Dame was a great high school. I'm very glad I went there. But getting me on Gutfeld, it helps if you tweet at them, "Hey, get Earl Skakel on." And I'm not trying to get you guys to do my dirty work, but it doesn't really work if I tweet it out. And it's not going to make me famous or anything, but it's a nice TV credit. Be nice to go to New York, do the show, maybe do a couple spots at the stand. Idolmaker is one of my favorite movies. As a matter of fact, Peter Gallagher, who played Cesare, I speak with him not frequently, but a little bit on Twitter, and he said he would come on my podcast to talk about the Idolmaker. Uh, oh no, I know he's famous, Dr. Chow. I'm not a huge baseball guy, so I'm trying to think who else went to Notre Dame that was famous. I mean, that's about it. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing people, but uh, I'm trying to think. There was really no one famous in my class. Um, in the early 80s, late 70s. Uh, yeah, I don't recall many famous people in my era, other than Stephen Perkins, the drummer from Jane's Addiction. I think someone said Dave Navarro went there, but I don't recall that. He might have been ahead of me. I think we're about the same age. Uh, so, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I became so well, yeah, a phone call. I mean, hey, listen, they probably don't know who I am, but if someone tweets out and you call cold, they're like, "Hey, who's this Earl Skakel?" People will keep asking about him, and then bingo, I'm on. No, I'll be honest with you, I don't thrive well, in those panel type settings, um, because you gotta kinda fake laugh. If like that big wrestling guy, what's his name? Not Tyrese, but Tyrus. If he says something I don't find funny, I gotta fake laugh because I don't wanna be a dick. But, I'm really hard to fake laugh. I don't do well with that stuff. Um, but, you know, I always thought they could make a comedy version of the Idolmaker, because I know a lot of funny writers who are bad comics, and I know a lot of comics who are horrible writers, or they don't write at all, but they're great on stage. And I love that final scene. And now Ray Sharkey was a shitty person in real life, but because he um, infected people with HIV and he knew he had it. So like, damn, why do I have to like this movie? Um, oh, really? Yeah. See, I don't even know what the Zodiac Killer looks like, to be honest with you. The sound is glitchy. Let me see if my internet's. No, my internet's good right now. So I'll turn it up. Maybe that'll help. It's at full volume. So, um, but it's such a good movie. And the weirdest thing, we've talked a lot on these streams about like Michael Pare. I thought he'd be a big star. I thought Jenny Wright would be a big star. I thought who else did I think was going to be a big? Let me switch to my cell phone hotspot. See if that helps. That helps, but sometimes it doesn't. But I thought Paul Land, who played the first singer Ray Sharkey made, Tommy D. I thought he's gonna be famous, like, great-looking guy, good actor, and then I think he ended up doing one of those TNA movies, like, it wasn't Hot Dog the movie, but it was, like, summer you know, in the mid-80s, like, from, say, I don't know, 81 to maybe, like, 88, there was always 1 or 2 shitty, like, sea-level teen romp, American Pie type movies, and that's the only other movie Paul Land ever did. And was it Hot Dog the movie? It was one of those things where he goes to spring break and he's like the hot, cheesy guy. And then I don't think he ever acted again. I believe he ended up The information on him is kinda sketchy on the internet. I believe he ended up being like a carpenter in New York or something, and he died at a pretty young age. That's the crazy thing about this business, is like someone like him, his first movie's so good. Same thing with like Christopher Makepeace from My Bodyguard. Who's my favorite match game panelist? Oh, without a doubt, it ain't even close. Charles Nelson Riley. Hello. I think that's where I got hello from. Uh, because back then I didn't know he was gay. So I thought, oh, this guy just has a great personality. Didn't the Zodiac wear a bag over his head? And you're saying I look like him? What the fuck? Yes, hit the like button, please. Hello, Frisco. Hello. Who's your favorite panelist? I mean, there were some good ones. I like that older lady, Brett or Brett. She was like kind of like a female version of Charles Nelson Riley. Now I live, you guys know where I live, West Hollywood. It's a pretty gay neighborhood. And I used to see Charles Nelson Riley at the Pavilions, which is a supermarket out here. I don't know. Should I take the glasses off? If I take the glasses off, I can't see the chats. I have perfect vision in this eye, not so much in this eye. Fanny Flag was fun. Richard Dawson. I mean, I know he's more considered Family Feud, but he was always on. Richard Dawson was great. I don't know if he was gay in real life, but he had that kind of that gay, cattiness. Um, you'd lose your shirt too if you look like this at 55. The guy who shot. But I used to see Charles Nelson Riley at Pavilions, and he didn't look very good. I mean, he was probably in the last couple of years of his life, and it's like he had like scabs on his face and shit. And it's like when I saw the guy who played Tony Moss in Showgirls. I don't know how you say his name, Alan Racine. He's on like Law and Order. And he was a legit actor, and he ended up playing like a pseudo gay choreographer. Once again, I don't know if he's gay in real life. I don't care. But I walked up to him at Whole Foods, and I'm like, "Oh my God, you're Tony Moss." He's like, "No, my name's Alan." I'm like, "No, you're Tony Moss from Showgirls." And he's like, "Bro, all I've done, and you want to talk about that movie?" I'm like, "Yeah." Paul Lynn was great on obviously Hollywood Squares. That was one of the first jokes I wrote that I was really proud of. I was like, "What's with the center square in the Hollywood Squares? Do you have to be like the gayest person on the planet?" I mean, first you had Paul Lynn, and who knew he was gay until one of the questions was, "Paul, what do you call a man who makes jewelry?" "Well, I'd call him darling." And then there was Jim J. Bullock, and who knew he was gay until one of the questions was, "Jim, how many balls are on a pool table?" And Jim was like, "I'd say it depends on how many guys are playing." And then you had Whoopi Goldberg, and who the hell knew that guy was gay? Hello. Did you ever meet Screech? I did a comedy show with him. Nice guy, but he wasn't funny at all. But being a sassy gay in the '70s, like, you had to be on the DL about it. Like, Paul Lynde could not be on the Hollywood Squares. "Hey, I went on a date last night with a twink." Like, he'd be like, "You're out." Now being straight's the new gay. You can't even tell people you're straight. Earl, you remind me of the movie Magnolia. I've never seen it, to be honest with you. I don't know if you're insulting me or um, complimenting me. Center Square for the reboot. See, I don't know really much about Mario Cantone. Yeah, I'm LA to the core. You know, I'm the quintessential Los Angeles comic, but I love it. I that's when I think we can talk a little bit about the Dabbleverse, but Stevie Lou, Chad in LA, and it's like obviously I'm not a famous comic. I don't think a famous comic would be doing a stream to 10 people with his shirt off, but like untouchable in the LA comedy world in terms of people fucking with me. There's plenty of people who don't think I'm funny or a fair amount, but I'm so well liked that even Jeff Ross has to like go to other people and say, "Hey, can you talk to Earl? Like he's a little unhinged." Um, so it's all good. Norm Macdonald did come to the store. It's one of my favorite Norm stories is when he came to the comedy store. I don't know. I had already gone on, so I forget who went on after me, but they have a thing at the comedy store called fallouts, so people can come in and if they're not on the lineup, if there's time, they can go up. So Norm went on about 2 in the morning in front of maybe 3 to 4 people, and he was killing. Like, we're all in the and it was great 'cause, like, every 2 minutes, 2 people would come in the room, 3 people come in the room. Uh, Comics started to hear it, and Norm was loved by everyone, but especially comics, because he was one of the few successful comics. Like, I'm called a comics comic, but that usually means people like, comics love you, but the industry doesn't love you. Everyone loved Norm, and by about 2:15, the room was packed, and he's just killing, and he's just fucking around and he's killing. Like, I can't fuck around and kill. I gotta, like, hit you with what I know works, and even then, I don't know if I would say I kill. Although I will say the set I had to take down last week, that was Earl killing. I'll tell you that much right now. Um, how's the sidewalk? No one's gone doo-doo on my sidewalk lately. Commando, oh, please, if you haven't seen it, though. Of course I've seen Commando, the movie. Oh, I mean, I'll have to check it out. I don't know what it's about. It's about forgiveness and acceptance. Well, I mean, I can forgive, but I can't forget. I'm from West Hollywood, California, Dottie. Earl has a role in Magnolia, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I mean, I liked him in Boogie Nights. I didn't really like anything he did after Boogie Nights. What part of Texas? I have a lot of friends, as you know, in Austin, but I don't talk to them much. Uh, oh yeah, I mean, why the part where my friend lives, it's all retired military. He loves it because no one's fucking with his house. Like, heaven forbid someone tries to rob my friend's house. It's literally he is surrounded by this guy was a Green Beret. This guy was Special Forces. This guy they don't even know what he is that lives behind him. So okay, I've got some family in Midland, Texas, but I never see them. No, I don't know Corey Adams. Never met him. I have no feelings towards him one way or the other. I mean, I feel bad for him because he kind of got sucked into that steel toe Melton drama. So, just so did you get to plow Faye, right? Come on, man. I'm not gonna fucking 85-year-old woman. Uh Philip Seymour Hoffman became my favorite actor. Yeah, I mean, oh, he's great, Philip Seymour Hoffman. So well, I feel bad for him from the standpoint of, I think he goes on steel toe and then, if you go on steel toe, you get roped into that world, and then people make fun of you, and then you fire back, and then it's like a tornado. It just never stops. Let off some steam, Bennett. I'm not going to shoot you in the eyes, John. I'm going to shoot you between the balls. Um, do you like old movies? Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I like King Kong, the original one. I like Mighty Joe Young. Maybe like the original Frankenstein. I'm a little behind on AEW. I'm caught up till Christian's speech. I like the first match. This is allegedly an AEW stream. Um, so I just title it that to get the numbers. But no, I'm just kidding. So the first match was Moxley and my buddy Jay Lethal. Good match, but I kind of feel bad for Jay Lethal because you know he's gonna lose almost every match. And then you had Roosh and Briscoe. Of course, Roosh wins, but good match though. Oh, good. I'm literally about to watch a Julia Hart one. There's a, she's great. I mean, there's just something about her I can't keep my eyes off her. And no, I know she's 22. Don't think I'm some pedo or something. and that's 4 years over the limit. Hello. And then they had, Wardlow destroyed AR Fox. Um, you know, I get it. You're building him up Goldberg style for the third time. Hopefully, they don't botch this one. MJF had a good speech, and then at the end, good segment. I like the MJF segment where the Devil's Crew came out, attacked him, and then Samoa Joe came in for the save. And then next week, they're kind of starting the ball rolling for the Devil reveal. And, very well done. I will say this because whoever the main attacker was for MJF, he was pretty big. Like you could see his back muscles. So but he was almost too tall to be Ziggler. And I noticed was it yesterday or today, Matt Riddle posted a video saying he has to look good for what's coming next. So I don't know if the devil is Matt Riddle, but maybe one of the helpers. But here's the thing. If the if one of the helpers is Matt Riddle, the devil has to be a big reveal. And I would say you painted yourself in a corner if you're AEW, because the devil reveal's been a big buildup. And I'm assuming it's gonna possibly be revealed in New York in the December pay-per-view, but it has to be Ziggler. It has to be a pop. It can't be. I don't think it can be Britt Baker or Adam Cole. It has to be someone really other than it. I mean, I don't think you'd have it be Osprey. I think Mustafa Ali's a big get, but it's not huge. They need it to be like, oh my god. And I think Ziggler's the only one who's going to be like, oh my god. Um, the Professor, Pat Tanaka. I wish I knew more about Magnolia. I'll let you guys talk about it in chat. I mean, you got to feel bad for Jeff Jarrett. He was forced to wrestle right after they literally pushed him out behind the curtain and go get out there, and he stepped in like Owen Hart's blood, and that was like one of his best friends. Well, here's the thing with Owen Hart, and I don't mean to be a dick when I say this, but if he doesn't die, he's probably not talked about that much. Like he was a upper mid card guy, but like, and he was a great wrestler. But I think it's like anything. Like if Randy Rhodes doesn't die, he was a great guitar player, but he probably gets looped in there with the Warren D. Martinis and Jakey Lees and George Lynch's of, oh, wow, he was great in the 80s. But, death really, like, builds a mystification about someone. Look at, if Leonard Skinner doesn't die, and I like Leonard Skinner, they become just 38 special, like if they just kept playing. And that's not a slam on them, but it's death, makes you, um, like just I don't know if I'd say larger. If you die young, you know, I think people always remember you, and like Marilyn Monroe. Like if Marilyn Monroe doesn't die, she just becomes, Stella Stevens or Phyllis Diller. If Phyllis Diller died when she was young, she'd be more popular. So, and that's not, it's just the way it is. I mean, Freddie Prinze Jr., a perfect example of, he died at the height of his looks, at the height of his funny. Um, if he didn't die, he would have been an earlier version of, say, Paul Rodriguez, who's a legend. But, like, can you name one thing Paul Rodriguez has done in the last 30 years? And I love him. Like, he's always very cool to me at the Comedy Store. But, I'm just saying. Um, don't remember whose name. I've opened up for Jake the Snake. Um, I there was a comedy, it's kind of a loose comedy club called The Dojo on La Brea and Sunset, and, it's like this guy named Trevor had kinda started I wouldn't call it a comedy club, but more of a comedy room upstairs in this bar, where downstairs they had, like, UFC fights on TV, and, Sundays people would go there and watch football. Um, Outside was completely surrounded by homeless, um, but he did a comedy show there on a Sunday night, and the guy who was his manager said, "Hey, do you wanna open up for Jake the Snake?" So I did about 15 minutes. And I'm not gonna lie and say I was killing, but, I did good. I just did all Kamala jokes, and he was, like, laughing in the back. He's like, "I love Jim." I'm like, "His name's not Jim." He's like, "Yeah, it is Jim Harris." I'm like, "No, it's Kamala, bitch." And he laughed, and then he stood up. I'm like, "Wow, you're a lot bigger in person." Great storyteller, though. I mean, you guys know I've been doing comedy 1,000 years, and I've seen a lot of good storytellers, and, Jake the Snake by far and away. Even if you don't like wrestling, like my friend who was there, she had no idea who these people were he was talking about, and you just get roped in. Like, he's got, like, this, like, Tony Robbins, Joel Osteen, like, trance where you just get drawn in. Um Of course, of course. I've tried the AEW wrestling. Well, let me finish the Jake Roberts story. Like, he had a really funny story about he was in a car with Brutus Beefcake and, Booty Man, The Disciple, a lot of names. That was my favorite joke on the, Iron Sheik roast. Brutus Beefcake was there, and I'm like, "Hey, you got a lot of nicknames, Booty Man, Brutus the Barber, Brutus Beefcake, but one nickname you'll never have is Brutus the Good Wrestler." And he got up and, I don't think he really knew what a roast was about, so he threw his beer on me. Like, I mean, Doctor Chow, I can't see everything. Uh, um, you know, I'm also busy doing. I mean, I'm not busy, but like, my hours are crazy. Like tonight, I go to the comedy store. I got to do an hour in the main room. After doing hopefully an hour on this stream or whatever, and then I'll go home and I'll probably be high. Hopefully, if it goes well, and um, you know, then I go to sleep, and then I get up and repeat. I mean, I'm sure it's on Netflix. I'll check it out. But if a movie doesn't speak to me, I don't see it. Like, I tell you what movie I just saw last night for the very first time, and like I said earlier, I'm not like a huge baseball guy. I mean, I was when I was a kid, like Dave Parker, Ken Griffey Sr. But then after the '80s, and maybe I think after the Reds, and I was a Reds fan because my dad knew the owner before Marge Shaw. I think his name was Happy Williams. Um, I just kind of checked out. I got really into hockey. I mean, I've always been into hockey, but I really got into it from the '90s on. And but I saw 8 Men Out last night for the very first time. I'd never seen it before. What a great movie! And that movie's 1988. So, well, I don't know if it was. Yeah, I mean, like any Stallone movie speaks to me, like the Cobra, Raw Deal, Schwarzenegger, but like Magnolia, like when you tell me about it, it's quintessential LA movie, but it doesn't like how you're pitching it to me doesn't make me go, I gotta see it. Like I've seen LA Story, and that was kind of or Get Shorty, I think is a quintessential Hollywood movie. People just trying to make it, but, I'll check it out. Uh, I mean, I'm a huge Michael Rooker fan, so, like, anything he's in, I'll watch. Cliffhanger, so, uh, but 8 Man Out is good. It's tough to look at. I love Dave Parker. I thought you meant Cobra the movie. Uh, well, I don't know why baseball went downhill for me. I mean, I definitely got back into it when McGuire and Sosa were juiced up. Fuck, the balls were juiced up. That's why I never understood Pete Rose not getting in the Hall of Fame. I mean, baseball might be the most it's probably the easiest sport to cheat on. I mean, if you think about it at one time or the other over the last probably 100 years. I mean, Ty Cobb was, corking his bat. Uh, the pitchers were using sandpaper and razor blades to fuck with the ball. Then you go to Gaylord Perry and Don Sutton with spitballs. You go to, obviously George Brett corking his bat. Um, people taking speed in the 50s. And then roids. Now the roid stuff is kind of a tough one because it wasn't illegal. I mean, steroids were not um, illegal in baseball. So like that's why I kind of felt bad for like Sosa and McGuire and Palmero and Canseco. I mean, what they were doing was not illegal. Um, but so but Pete Rose can't get in. I mean, because he bet on games. Like if anything, he was. I believe it never came out that he bet against the Reds. Now that I would have a problem with, but if he's betting for the Reds to win, then he's trying his best to get them to win. So the integrity of the game is still online now. For example, if say Tom Browning, a great lefty for the Reds in that era, like if he's having a shitty game and Pete Rose leaves him in because he bet on the other team, then I would say like he should not be in the hall. But like there's so many. I mean, Ty Cobb was a racist, dropped N bombs. Um, you know, so I don't really. How many people took amphetamines to get going? Um, well, I think the UFC is falling right now, to be honest. Joe Negro, but he was a knuckleball guy. Like, but I'm sure he did the not the fingernails, but the almost like the wrestlers do. You cut the ball up a little bit. Um, it's a shame. I'm just trying to UFC Joe Negro, the man. But I mean, he bet on his team to win, so I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, I mean, the players in the '80s, you don't think they were cheating? Okay, I mean, I'll check it out, Randall and Dr. Chow. Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to cheat in baseball. I mean, even I was watching, and he's one of my favorite character actors. He should be more known. He played Eddie, is it Chicote? Eddie Chicote in Eight Men Out. His name's David Strathairn. Like, he was rubbing the ball against his thigh, and he clearly had, like, something on his, or the outer yeah, I guess that would be the outer part of his thigh, and he was rubbing the ball against a certain area where it looked like he had, like, Vaseline or something. So I never really understood, like, you know, the whole steroid, those guys are evil, but yet Gaylord Perry and Don Sutton are still in the Hall of Fame. I mean, you got to figure out the majority of Gaylord Perry's 300 wins and Don Sutton's as well were cheated on. Um, so, and what happened to the batters who weren't cheating, who didn't use cork bats, and they were facing Gaylord Perry? And who was the black pitcher? Ferguson Jenkins. He said he cheated in half the games he pitched. He's in the Hall of Fame. So, and sign stealing. You don't think that shit was going on in the '80s? Uh, I mean, there's cheating in hockey. You don't think guys were on roids in the '80s and '90s and hockey? I mean, look at Christoph Oliwa. The guy was fucking jacked. You think that was natural? And I was a celebrity endorser for his. Me and Barry Melrose were the celebrity endorser for Christoph Oliwa. Do you really want to do an Earl deep dive? I don't think I've ever told anyone this. Me and Barry Melrose were the celebrity endorsers for KO Gear. Get it? Christoph Oliwa, KO Gear. And I can't tell you how many times I was on the phone with him where he was, he was trying to go for like this FUBU shit. I'm like, bro, no one's going to buy that from you. You're a white guy from Poland. No one's going to buy the yo stuff from you. Oh, no, dude, it's going to be tight. Well, the company lasts about 2 months, but I got some free shit out of it. Fuck yeah. I'll watch the Magnolia and I'll check it out. It's got to be on Netflix. Well, I think, but here's the problem with the UFC, to be honest with you, and you got to give it to the Fertitta brothers. They sold at exactly the right time. They sold when Rousey was at the top, McGregor was at the top, Velasquez at the top to get the Hispanic market. Um, Overeem was like he wasn't the champ, but like you know he was looking like a black soup, like a black Incredible Hulk. And then one by one, Rousey got fucking destroyed in her last 2 fights. McGregor, his act now doesn't mean anything because you can talk like he does now, but he's getting killed. And then, your champ at the time, Nurmagomedov, Khabib, he was a pretty unmarketable guy because he doesn't really fucking talk. And Amanda Nunes, same thing. Like, I mean, she was in a Modelo commercial, but like, she's not exactly. I disagree with you, Dr. Chow. The pay per view numbers are way down because there's no stars anymore. I mean, the fact that they're even talking about McGregor fighting again shows you how the dip is. Um, you know, most people can't name the heavyweight champion. That's insane. Like we can, but the fact that they're bringing back John Jones because there's just no one wants to see Miocic fight again. I mean, the general public doesn't know who he is. I mean, we do, but like, you know, the problem with the UFC right now, I think it's in decline big time, is that people like me and Dr. Chow will order every pay per view because we're fans. But you know, what was great about Connor and Rousey and Velasquez and Jose Aldo getting the Brazilians is that they got more than the hardcore fans involved. Like Rousey got the casual fans, like women who probably don't like UFC. I'm going to watch this chick fight. And McGregor, was like the white Muhammad Ali. He got a lot of casual fans involved. Right now, you don't have any casual fans involved. I mean, the fan base is. I mean, the Fertitta sold at the highest you could sell. And then whether it was luck or they knew what was coming, obviously no one knew Velasquez was going to end up in jail. But so there went kind of the Hispanic market or like that big pop there. Um, and I just don't see many stars on the horizon. They've tried with a few guys, Sage Northcutt and um, who's the guy, Sugar Sean or something. They've tried with him, but it just, no one cares. Like he's a great fighter, but like, uh, uh, I still remember. I remember going to Best Buy and renting the VHS tape of a fight that happened like 4 months ago. I mean, so it's still a big company. I mean, it's Endeavor bought it. It's a big company, but look at yeah. But here's the thing, Doctor Chow. Once again, like people in this chat could name him because we're all fans, but he's not massive. Like the general public could not name who he is. But you put up Rousey's picture or when McGregor was at his peak, everyone, oh, that's the Irish guy. Oh, that's Rousey. She wears Piper's jacket. Nobody knows who Sugar Sean is outside of the hardcore fans. That's what I'm talking about. That's when I say it's in decline. Um, Yeah, but I know Instagram models who are big on IG. Like, but you can't name them. He's not in commercials. Rousey and McGregor and Velasquez, they were all over the TV. I mean, look at each season on uh, The Ultimate Fighter. It's been a gradual decline, and the fact that like McGregor and Chandler, nobody cared. That's why they didn't make the fight. Like it's just like I said, it's like when Chael Sonnen was, winning, he was great. All the shit he was talking, but then when he started losing, it was like, okay, next. Um, Well, I think people are burnt out on the, UFC. It is like wrestling pay-per-views. It's just too much, and and I don't think there's that breakout star like there used to be. I mean, Cyborg, like, when she was at her peak, but, you couldn't have her be the face of your female division. That's why they never had her and Rousey fight. Rousey probably would have been squashed by her. But, in Rousey's defense, it was like fighting a fucking dude. I mean, I've seen her in person, man. She is fucking jacked. Um, but oh, I love Bob Sapp. Sapp Attack. I heard Bob Sapp back in the day used to tell promoters in Japan, "You got me for 2 minutes. After that, I fall." Um, I just think, they really peaked with all those stars in their prime, and then once they kinda went away, like, Rousey was asked to, do the Expendables movie because she was such a fucking big deal, and then at one point, they were remaking Roadhouse with her as the lead, and then she got crunched in her last 2 fights, and I was like, "Okay, is, Jake Gyllenhaal available?" Um, I mean, UFC got big when, Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin had that amazing fight for Ultimate Fighter 1. It was like, "Oh, fuck." Like, this is the new sport because boxing was in decline, and now boxing slowly, I think, overtaking UFC in terms of like name brand. Like everyone knows who Tyson Fury is. Most people know who Deontay Wilder is. Um, I think UFC got big when boxing's biggest stars were like the Klitschko brothers, who were great fighters, but no one really cared. No one cares if you're just a great fighter. You got to talk shit. You got to go viral. And the Klitschko brothers were just like Dolph Lundgren and Universal Soldier. They did, and the fact that they wouldn't fight each other, that would have been great. Um, I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I'll take your word for it, Doctor Chow. I can't say you're wrong, but like, there's no one. Put it this way: there's no one right now coming up that's anywhere near the level of popularity that Rousey or McGregor was. And like I said, just the fact that they're trying to get McGregor to fight again tells you that it's not doing that well. I mean, I'm not saying it's in total decline, but I think the UFC kind of reminds me of the '80s metal scene where you had the peak was like say '83 to like '87, and then just you had copycat bands coming in, and then copycat bands had copycat bands, and it was just like um, right now. And there's no competition, really for UFC. I mean, Bellator is gone. Um, and even when they were here, like their best fighter was basically a UFC reject and the great. And I loved how he fought Gegard Mousasi. But like I do think they would be better with competition because now they can just do what they want, and Dana White can tell, or Endeavor and Dana White can tell these guys, hey, listen, where are you going to go? You're going to fight in the PFL league or the Bare Knuckles league? Okay, good luck with that. Here's your contract. Take it or leave it. All right, dude. Cold C. I'll see you later, dude. Um, you know. Yeah, well, I mean, if you jack off your dog, it's going to help with sponsors. And yeah, I mean, they tried to make Israel like the guy, like the next Anderson Silva, and it just wasn't. It just didn't happen, and um, I don't think. I think they got lazy for a long time, and I get it. You had these huge stars; they look like they were in their prime, so they're not going anywhere. And I think John Jones being such a fuck up in real life, that's definitely hurt because he's someone who, he was on a run where, like, it was like Tyson, you would literally buy the pay-per-view knowing he was gonna win, but you want to see how. Um, and, it's just like, it's just I don't see any stars coming up, and when I say stars, I mean, like, when they make the next Expendables movie, you're gonna put Israel Adesanya in there? You might put John Jones in there, but even that's like, almost a parody at this point. So, um, it's it's almost gotten too big. But I hope well, I mean, they just put all their eggs in mostly one basket and then, Ngannou, here's the thing, like what Ngannou did recently, and most people think he beat Fury. He probably made more money in that one fight. And Dr. Chow probably knows more than I, in terms of what the actual dollar figure was, but I'll guess he made around 25 million in that fight. That's more than all his UFC fights put together. So now they kind of do have a little bit of competition, but not everyone's going to be able to hang with Fury. Like, Ngannou um, is probably. I mean, I don't know if John Jones can box. There is a difference between boxing and MMA striking. Um, but I do think Ngannou has at least showed a path to the top people of, hey, boxing, you can make literally 10 times the money. Because if he fought John Jones, which would have been a great fight, and who knows, it still may happen, maybe 5 million, which is a lot of money, but like, why risk getting hurt by John Jones when you could fuck around with Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder for literally 5 times that? Um, so and I just don't think Miocic is very marketable. Like he's got a great story, firefighter. He's actually a good guy who, doesn't he doesn't cause any problems or whatever, and like, but that's boring. Well, I'll be honest with you, Doctor Chow. I didn't think Ngannou had a chance either. I mean, like I said, and as you seem to be a student of the game. Uh, you know, boxing is boxing striking is dramatically different than MMA striking. Like you look at a great MMA striker, like I don't know, Fabricio Verdum. He get killed in a boxing match. And if Ngannou, or not Ngannou, but like if you took a boxer, I don't know who's Verdum's size 240, Andrew Ruiz, the heavyweight. He'd get killed if he did an MMA style match with Verdum. So, I mean, listen, when you're that fucking strong, like Ngannou, I mean, remember the one knockout with Overeem where he literally lifted him up off the ground, and Overeem was like 250, 260. So, you know, I'm going to use a hockey reference here, and you're too young for this, Dr. Chow. But when you have the punching power, like when Joey Koser, who was a legendary NHL heavyweight for the Rangers and the Red Wings originally, he fought a lot bigger dudes, and he fucking hurt. He ended three guys' careers. He hit so hard. Um, so, well, I like the heavyweights. I'm good friends with the great trainer Joe Goosen, Ten Goose Boxing. He was Andre Ward's trainer and manager. It's funny, I did a pilot. I'll always find a way to get it back to me. But I did a pilot with Joe Goosen where he was like a Tony Robbins type motivational speaker. And so part of it is he has me train with some of his lightweights, these like little Mexican dudes who are like super fast. And they were told basically not to hit me because these are like pro fighters. And so we got into like a sparring session, and they said I could hit them as hard as I wanted. And I'm like, "You guys sure you're not gonna hit me back? Like, you can hit me back, but just like, be play it cool." And each guy said I was the hardest hitter they've ever faced. Fuck yeah. Look at those deltoids. Look at that. 55, man. Sorry, I'm just doing that. So, well, it's vegan, lean, and no steroids. Come on, man. Thank you, Dottie. Look at those traps. Structured jawbone, too. Most of my hair. I'm not balding. I just have a big forehead. So, no, CM Punk's in pretty good shape. I mean, he choked out Jack Perry. So that's why you never like if you were to ask me who would win a fight, CM Punk or Jack Perry, I'd be like, oh, Jack Perry will kill him. Apparently, right before the All In London pay-per-view, um, he choked out Jack Perry. So never judge a man on his body in terms of their ability to fight. I got choked out playing hockey once by a cop. He was a sheriff. I didn't know he was a sheriff until afterwards. This guy was maybe 5'6". I'm 6'1". He was probably at the most 170 and probably lighter than that. And I was probably at that time 200 and jacked. And he choked me out in about 2 seconds. He literally pushed my shoulder. So I went around, choked me out. And when I woke up, a couple seconds later, he had my glasses in his hand. I'm like, hey, man, those are really expensive. Please don't break them. He's like, all right, quit running around then. I'm like, you got it. And then we ended up being teammates. Can't beat him, join him. What are the chances we see CM Punk back in the UFC? He'll never be in the UFC again. You know, I mean, I'll give him this. He didn't fight stiffs. I mean, Mickey Gall is not a stiff. Um, so, you know, but I don't think. Why would you fight for real when you can? And listen, wrestling is probably harder physically than UFC. I mean, it's not easy doing what they do. I mean, watch a Will Osprey match, especially in New Japan, or watch Osprey and Omega's match in New Japan, like their first match. Like that's much more punishment than any UFC fight I've ever watched. Um, watch Osprey and was it against Josh Alexander? I think like 2 weeks ago in Impact. Or shit, even watch tonight. Fucking Wardlow picked up AR Fox, who's probably like my size. He looks small, but compared to Wardlow, he is small. And Wardlow not just gave him a power bomb from up here, but he lifted him up here and dropped him. So, um, you know, it's wrestling is a very, very difficult, you know, sport physically. I don't care if it's. I don't like saying fake. It's predetermined, yes, but well, I mean, here's the thing with CM Punk, and I wanted to do just about an hour tonight. I'm trying to also experiment with different times. I had noticed that the stream I did Sunday night is my most watched stream, and that was about an hour and 20 minutes, where the 2 hour and 45-minute one was actually watched a little less. So I think that all sides are to blame for Punk and AEW. I know about 10 people from AEW, and I think that I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, rate me Punk as a behind the wall, behind the curtain person, and he didn't get a number higher than 4. And I would say 8 out of the 10 people I asked. Now I realize I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there, but I would say 8 out of the 10 people I asked, 8 of the nicest people I know. Like, they're not shit talkers, they don't cause drama, like, um, I mean, in my one experience meeting CM Punk, he wasn't exactly a great, nice guy. Like, he wasn't a dick, but, like, we were at Equinox in West Hollywood, We were literally the last 2 guys to leave, so I opened up the door for him, and I kinda put my arm around his shoulder and like, "Hey, man, I just want you to know I'm a big fan, and you're the only reason I watch right now." And he just looks at me and goes, "Don't say that," and just walked off. I'm like, "Oh, I." Like, I'd be really happy if someone came up to me at the comedy show and said, "Hey, man, you're the only reason I'm here tonight." I'd be like, "Oh, thanks, man. There's other funny people here." I don't know, maybe CM Punk thought I was insulting his friends, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I mean, well, that's why Kevin Brennan is so good because, he's consistent, every day at 1 PM Pacific Standard Time, he's gonna be there. Uh, yeah, yeah, I mean, I think Sunday nights is definitely gonna be a regular one. I think Wednesday nights will be a regular one. We could do a half wrestling, half, break out into comedy talk, UFC talk. I mean, I had no idea Dr. Chow was so into UFC. Like, we could go on forever. Uh, oh, the time I met Bray Wyatt. Yeah, I'll leave with this because it's a cool story. And thank you guys for listening. You know, so I am about to go on at the Comedy Store one night. I think it was a Friday night. Um, in the original room. There's 3 rooms in the Comedy Store. There's the original room, the main room, which I am in tonight, and then there's upstairs in the belly room. And I think I was going on second to last, and I'm just kind of minding my own business. And with John Sosis, who was one of my co-hosts for the the Comedy Store podcast. So I'm literally about to go on, and in walks this mountain of a man with this tiny woman next to him. It was Bray Wyatt and JoJo, and they sit in the owner's seat because John escorted them in, and I hear my name called, and I literally did 15 minutes of all wrestling jokes. I started out with, "Hey, who remembers that wrestler IRS?" That was his dad, Mike Rotunda. And he starts laughing really loud, and I'm like, I always, I'm Jewish. I thought, wow, this is great. You actually have a guy around the wrestlers to make sure they don't skip out on their taxes. He's laughing. Nobody else is laughing, And then I do my Hulk Hogan sex tape joke, and how it took me 2 years to find parts unknown to see where the Ultimate Warrior lived, and how I thought Kamala really was from Uganda. He's laughing at everything. So then I get to meet him in the hallway after. And John and I took Bray Wyatt and JoJo and 2 other dudes. I still don't know who they were. Um, they were marks. Uh, we take Bray up to Mitzi's office. Now, to show you how special Mitzi's office is, I've been coming to the Comedy Store since 2000. I've been a paid regular there for 10 years. I've never even been in Mitzi's office. It's like sacred ground. It's even more endeared than like going into Vince's office at Stamford, Connecticut. Like nobody goes in Mitzi's office. So John got the permission to take Bray up there, and we're up there for about 10 minutes. And he's like a little kid. Like it was he's like, Earl, is this where she sat? And are these scripts? And, Mitzi's office is untouched. Like from her, I don't know when her last time up there was, but whatever she was doing up there, it's there. And it's got that 70s, 80s smell to it. It doesn't smell, it just smells like, I don't know, like a room from the 70s and 80s. And then we took him and JoJo up top, on top of the roof. And no audience member has ever gone on the Comedy Store roof because it's got amazing views of the city. To the left is downtown, to the right is the beach. I mean, you can't really see the beach because all the buildings in the way, but like you can to a degree. And it was awesome. Like he was just like, we're talking wrestling, we're talking life, and where he lives, and how he's building onto his home and his kids, and um, looking back, I didn't think much of it. So we go downstairs, and they have to go, and I say, Mr. Wyatt, can I take a picture, man? And someone's just going to take a really shitty photo, just because it's a dark hallway, and Bray saw some light down the hall. He's like, let's go over there and take it. And when I took it, like he was breathing pretty heavy, and it didn't hit me at the time. Like, oh, he's a big guy. I mean, walking up those stairs probably was hard for him. Maybe he's got bad legs or something. But he was so nice, and he gave me his number to call me anytime. If you ever want to talk. And I'm like, I'm not gonna call you. I don't bother you. Of course, the next day I called him. Um, so we could do that, but I don't think. Oh, absolutely, the store is haunted, and I don't normally believe in that shit, but I absolutely do. I mean, the store is. There's a lot of shit went down there before the comedy world. Um, oh, Peter Brennan's in the house. Peter seems to know a little bit about the activities that have gone on in the comedy store roof. Interesting. Most interesting. Oh yeah, he was great. I mean, super nice guy. His wife JoJo was awesome. I mean, you could tell they were in love with each other. I think I have a picture of the night on Instagram. It's probably 6 months ago. If you want to look on my Instagram, NASA creep. Let's see, that was whenever WrestleMania was. It was that week. So was it April of 2023? It'd be around then. He was great. I mean, he was just super, super nice and like humble and like he's definitely one of the celebrities I've met that was like I was a bigger fan after that night than I was before. Um, yeah, I don't have that many to be honest with you. I mean, I told the one the other night on here when we were in the main room after hours. I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we're all playing cards or whatever. A couple people are smoking the hippie lettuce, and we're all on the right side of the room, and all of a sudden, a glass on the left side of the room goes flying by, and there was no one over there. Like, it's not like someone snuck over there and like was playing a joke on us. And I've been in the main room just like meditating. It's a great place to meditate when it's empty and the lights are off. And I've heard footsteps. There's that hallway. Like tonight when I go backstage in the main room, there's that hallway that you go from the showroom to behind the stage, and you walk into the green room. And when you walk, it's like wood. It's carpeted, but it's over wood, so you can hear people walking on it. And I've been in the room just meditating or whatever, um, and I've heard footsteps, and there was no one else in the room. So I do believe that there is an entity of energy at the only other time I felt energy like that in the main room anywhere else was, I think I told you guys this the other night, the Queen Mary in Long Beach. They used to do a comedy show there. So one night I was just walking around, and I'm just opening up doors because it was still a live hotel. I mean, it was a functioning hotel. I think it is to this day, and I'm sure it's like big for tourists and shit. And I opened up this one door, and it was the engine room. And apparently, there was a horrible accident back in the day there where a lot of people drowned. And I'm telling you, the second you walked into this energy room, a heaviness overtook your whole body. Like I literally felt like my head was in my stomach. I just like, it was wild. I've never ever. It was like a funeral type energy. Or kind of when you walk into a hospital and every room you see someone really old, all fucked up. So 5 to 6 stories from the regs at the store. I do practice meditation and yoga. It's the only thing that keeps me sane. Because Randall, I don't do drugs. I don't smoke weed. I don't do anything. To take the edge off, as some comics would say. So um, I have to do working out is my medicine, and meditation and yoga. And I'm horrible at yoga. The guy took a class yesterday. I was the worst one in class by far, but I know that it makes my stand-up easier because I'm good at stand-up, so I figure if I can be bad at something for an hour, I can be really good at something for an hour. So that is my time, ladies and gentlemen. I love you all. I have to get ready. My set at the Comedy Store is in 2 hours, so I gotta kinda get focused and prepared. Uh, at least you're trying to do you. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm the worst guy in class by far, but, nobody cares. If the store is WWE, I would say the Ice House is AEW. Like, the Ice House could compete with the store, but not under the current regime. Like, the current booker at the Ice House is literally an ex-WNBA player who didn't know who Tom Segura was. And, like, my last set there was a couple Fridays ago, and I had the best set of the night. It was just a fun there was a guy heckling all the comics, and I'm really good with hecklers because I know how to, like, let their guard down, but also at the same time let the crowd know, "Hey, this person's a fuckhead." And I was doing so well at one point that the whole staff came in to watch, all the waitresses and bartenders, and, you would think that I would get a phone call the next week, "Hey, man, we heard you did a good job. Do you wanna come back?" Haven't heard a fucking thing. So, but, the Bus family owns it, and, I think that, it's just it's a different vibe there because they remodeled it. Like, they have an armed security guard in the showroom, and so when I was getting heckled by the guy and I'm slamming him, and the guy was so drunk, he was having fun, but it was getting annoying for the other crowd because they paid too, and the guy with the gun walks over to the guy, and I'm like, "Hey, I got it," because this guy was so drunk, I wouldn't put it past him to try and reach for the gun, probably thinking it's a toy, and then that's where the party starts. Um Was that recently, Peter? Because I know someone told me the booker didn't know who Tom Segura was, and the booker was like, "Oh, who's that?" Now, what? Tom Segura is like the biggest comic in the world, or one of them. There's Jimmy Carr, there's Joe Rogan. By the way, people ask me all the time, how beneficial was it for me beating Jimmy Carr in roast battle on television? Well, Jimmy Carr's got a sold out show next week at the Wiltern Theater, and I'm doing a live stream to 11 people. Hello. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's not, like Emily, the booker of the Comedy Store, she's the real fucking deal. Like, she's great. And no, I'm not saying that to get more spots, but like she knows who everyone is. And she knows all the up and comers. She knows the older comics like me. Yeah, I mean, Joe's made a lot of people. I mean, you got to think that Bert, Christina P, Segura, Hinchcliffe, uh, Ian Edwards, Craig Fitzsimmons, Ari Shafir, all those guys, and girl, their, a significant amount of their success to Joe. Like that's just, as Kevin Brennan would say, that's a fact. Joey Diaz. I mean, I'm sure there's others. Red Band. Um, you know, so that's why I would still love to do the podcast. But I think he's had like 2,200 guests on, so a lot of them have been repeaters. So say 1,700 original individual guests, and if I'm not one of the Ahmed, get out of town, dude. You're out of control right now. I think I'll have a Danish. That's just for one person in chat. What are you gonna drop an Aaron Cater reference next? Hello. Um, I mean, I think the podcast meant more when it was on YouTube. Like there was a time that you could go on Rogan's podcast, and if it was a good interview, like Ally Mack, I think had like a few hundred followers on Twitter, and then or it was either Twitter or Instagram, or maybe it was both. And then literally the next day, she's at 60,000. Hinchcliffe was the same thing. Ari, I mean, all of them is the same thing. But I also know if it's a bad interview, you don't get the benefit. Like I know one person who went on and it just wasn't a good interview, and they got maybe 200 followers from it. So um, it was something like that, Randall. I might not be exactly correct on the numbers, but it was a big bump for her. That's for sure. So it's like to be honest with you, I got my most followers. I got like a few thousand from Roast Battle. So forgot, yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, you just can't like, you did Spurg. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go after Joe, like, you better have all your ducks in a row. It just he's not the guy to have angry at you. That's for sure. You did miss shirtless Earl. I'm about to get off because I got to get ready for the comedy store. Uh, about Well, I mean, you definitely, I think more people watch YouTube than Spotify, but I might be wrong. I don't know, the statistics, but I rarely listen. I don't think I listen to anyone's podcast on Spotify. It's always YouTube. But what do I know? Like, I'm not the barometer of what you should watch. Yeah, with Spurg, I got to get ready for the comedy store right now. That's the thing. If someone doesn't show up, I go on like I could go on at 10 o'clock. Right now I'm preparing for 10:30, between 10:30 and 11. Because if everyone shows up, everyone runs the light. So that 10:30 spot is 11. And if Leslie Jones shows up, I might not be going on until Friday. I wouldn't get offended with it. Mr. Hollywood, interesting, most interesting. Yo, 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 Ben Jones, I'm about to leave. I got to get ready for the comedy store. We got some late comers. Hello. Um, and if anyone knows where I could put the scroll thing right down here that says at Earl Skakel, can someone DM me how to do that? I don't know how to do it. It says at Earl Skakel, follow me on whatever. Who cancels people? Leslie Jones? She ain't canceling me. I mean, she did throw me against the refrigerator once in the kitchen, but like, you know, I mean, it kind of hurt. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna say that. Leslie doesn't like me as is. We used to be quite friendly with each other, but ever since the kitchen incident, I think she's blocked me on Twitter, and uh, I don't know. I mean, anytime I see her, she like glares at me. Like, I think it all. I'll leave you guys with this. Our problems really are stemming from roast battle when she went up there one night and she was like fucking around with me, and I got her. Like that was my show. I mean, well, now let me put it back. Moses is Moses's show, but that was my room. Like I was untouchable in that room. Like I went at Chappelle one night and he loved it. Um, so okay, but I don't know how to do that. YouTube, OBS, Streamlabs, banners, overlays. Like I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. Can you? I don't want to bore people with that. Can you DM me on Instagram? Tell me what that is, how to do it. I would appreciate it. And thank you guys, Earl Skakel. Once again, we'll probably do this tomorrow night. Maybe Friday we'll do something. I'm still trying to figure out. I mean, obviously, I do think it's good if I don't do it every night because you get burnt out. Um, but who knows? I'm still fucking with the times, and like I used to do the Dynamite, the AEW recap Thursdays, but now I think it's better Wednesdays, and I'll definitely be doing Sunday night streams. I seem to have hit a sweet spot with the numbers there. Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe I'll do it like Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. Uh, well, yeah, just there's only so much These streams are basically talk shows with the chat. Like someone asked me a question in chat, oh, like Dr. Chow and me got into it with the UFC talk, and then someone says, hey, tell us a store ghost story, and like I can talk for an hour on my own, but it's definitely a lot better if people are, it's like a conversation. So, but Kevin has 900 people in this chat. I've got 13, so I can read every chat and go, okay. I think that's why super chats were invented. When you have like Shuli has 1,000 people, you can't read 1,000 questions. You'd be going mad. Legion of Skakes. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a Skake Fest where I'll invite all pedophiles and rapists in the LA comedy scene, and it'll be a 3-week long festival if I do that. The fuck out of here. Earl Skakel over and out. I love you all. Follow me if you don't already. EarlSkakel everywhere. Follow Dr. Chow. Follow Spurg, Nick, Tracy Camaso, Pooter, Randall P. McMurphy. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow night. Over and